From Cakeland, this is Emmy award-winning Cake News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. A big political sign being blamed for causing a motorcycle accident yesterday. The accident took place near Hydraulic and 111th Street, just west of Mulvane. Cake's Monica Castro spoke with people living in the area about the intersection, and the sign, they say, is just too big.
I talked to the sheriff's office about the accident and a potential cause. Family members of the motorcycle driver who was injured believe that this political sign that you see right behind me might have obstructed the view for the truck driver. The sheriff's office tells me the political sign or this tall grass could have very well played a role in the accident. Right now, they don't have a definite cause, but say both the sign or tall grass could have caused visibility issues. A resident living in the area says the sign is really big and thinks it should be moved.
The political sign, I think it should probably be a few feet farther back from the road into the intersection. It doesn't need to be right out there where it's at.
He believes the tall grass should also be maintained, but mainly drivers in this rural area need to be more cautious.
People tend to drive a little higher speeds out here because they think it's out in the country, no one's going to catch them.
Last we heard, that motorcycle driver is still in critical condition. The sheriff's office tells me that the cause of the accident is still under investigation. In southern Sedgwick County, Monica Castro, Cake News.
Southern Kansas shaken by a 4.4 magnitude earthquake this afternoon and another smaller one 30 minutes later. Today's quake again centered near Harper, but it was felt as far away as Salina and Oklahoma. Cake's Annette Lawless live in Harper County where some very visible damage has been reported. Annette.
Absolutely, Susan. You know, the interesting thing is one business owner who owns this shop right behind me, she tells me that she's felt 2 earthquakes in her life, the 2 happening to be this week. Now take a look at this video. She invited us in to show us what she did right after she felt this quake. She says she rushed upstairs to see the apartments that she rents. Inside, she found a ceiling lamp that had flipped sideways. She was stunned by what she found in the next room.
So I came upstairs, you know, after everything was shaking really bad, and when I got up here, the first thing I noticed was the ice box is turned sideways because it's supposed to be back against the wall. You know, I'm 75 years old, and I didn't think I'd ever live long enough to feel an earthquake.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've been through a lot of tornadoes, but not no earthquakes.
Next on Cake News at 6, one of our Facebook fans invites us into his home. He and his wife share the story of what they found, the surprises they saw right when the earthquake shook. Reporting live in Harper, Annette Lawless, Cake News.
Always tracking, always alerting, always protecting. Cake First Alert.
We are done with the threat for thunderstorms across Cakeland. That has pushed well to the east, Missouri, northwest Arkansas, down into Oklahoma. Now, as long as you're underneath the cloud cover, there is still a chance you might get a little bit of a sprinkle. You see around Haven, Pretty Prairie, the reservoir there, Cheney, down to Norwich. So again, we're not completely done with the chance of a little light rain shower, but beyond that, nothing else. 64 degrees, still a lot of cloud cover on the Emprise Bank. Cake Cam, it's 66 in Colby with sunshine, 67 with sunshine in Garden City, and 63 in Salina. I think we're going to be close to 62, still mostly cloudy at 6 o'clock, but we're going to be thinning out this cloud cover slowly down to about 61 at 7, and hopefully we'll continue to thin the cloud cover by the time we get to 8 and down to 59 degrees. Some parts of Kansas will get into the 30s for lows tonight. We're tracking that. It's going to feel a lot like fall for the next few days on the planner coming up.
All right, thanks a lot, Jay. We've got new details now in yesterday's Goddard school bus accident. The driver has been charged with failing to drive in a marked lane after the accident that sent 7 kids to the hospital. Cakestead Ferris found one kindergartner who said it was just a little scary. Deb.
That's right, Susan. Avery Bluebaugh tells me like it is. The driver just went into some grass and some of the little kids were scared, but this brave little girl was right back on the bus this morning.
Got it all under control.
There are just certain things kindergartners worry about when their bus goes off the side of the road.
So when we get off the bus, we had to leave our backpacks on it, but we have to get it from the office.
5-year-old Avery Bluebaugh and 32 other Amelia Earhart Elementary students were on their way to school Wednesday morning when the sheriff's office says their driver got distracted. The bus went off the side of the road on West Pawnee.
It was a little bit scary. You know, I, of course, wanted to drive by there and see what happened. And my wife's like, I want to see my daughter first before I see the bus.
Avery says the driver went into the grass and some of the kids were bounced around.
Some people were scared and some people were crying and some people were hurt.
Avery has a small owie on her leg, but other than that, she says she's fine. The kids were taken to the school where counselors were waiting and parents could come.
The kids were just more excited than anything else. They wanted to tell the story and what had happened.
He calls her brave. As for Avery, she was just a bit nervous about getting back on the bus, but not for fear of another accident.
I was a little scared because it was a different bus driver who got us to school than a different bus driver who got us to home.
How sweet is she? Investigators tell me the driver was distracted when that accident happened. They say that she was looking up at that mirror to see the kids behind her when she went off the road.
Little Avery has a future in television. Illegal dumping. One Southeast Wichita neighborhood says it is an issue that is out of control. Look at this huge pile of a dozen mattresses and couches near the 1300 block of Terrace Drive. Illegal dumping and trash stretches for blocks, and some neighbors have become so fed up that they try to take care of it themselves. They say they've made several calls to the city over the past month, but haven't seen any change at all.
I think if this was happening in a more affluent neighborhood, something would be done right away. It just makes me feel like, you know, they don't care about us out here.
Coming up tonight at 6, the city's response and actions they are taking to fight illegal dumping throughout Wichita. Wichita Toy Run returning to city streets. The decades-long tradition of motorcycles strapping teddy bears and other toys to their bikes and delivering them is back. But there will be a few changes. New at 5, KAKE's Chris Frank explains what's different this year.
This Lawrence Dumas Stadium parking lot is empty now, but 1 month from today, it'll be full of motorcyclists and their Christmas toys because the Wichita Toy Run is back.
We're coming back to the run. That's what people want.
What started as a small gathering of bikers 35 years ago collecting and taking toys for tots to the Coliseum grew to thousands of bikers in a long procession. It got so large the city didn't permit them to go as a parade through the streets because of safety issues.
So we don't qualify in definition as a parade anymore.
But the Toy Run is returning to the streets and getting permitted by the city as a community event, which doesn't call it a parade but still accomplishes the same end.
We want to stay with the strong tradition that the guys 35 years ago set forth, and that's to bring to this community some needs for our kids at Christmas. And that's what started it, that's what's kept us going back to the roots, making sure we're doing what the predecessors and the founders of this organization wanted.
The bikers switched to rallies in the Delano district for 2 years, but those didn't have near the participation, and the toys collected dropped.
We went from 10,000 toys down to 2,000 toys.
The toys are given to the Salvation Army's Angel Tree and the Marines Toys for Tots. The city and the Toy Run Committee agree this must be done safely with the hiring of officers and putting up of barricades to help control traffic.
We're just going to call it something else.
Olson says the emphasis will be getting those Christmas toys delivered from here to the Kansas Coliseum safely. In downtown Wichita, Chris Frank, KAKE News.
Derby police still searching for the man who tried to kidnap a 3-year-old child yesterday. A woman says she was walking with her 2 children in the 200 block of East K when a man got out of a van and tried to grab her child. He and another man were in what's described as a large black church van. Police have given us this sketch of the suspect. Anyone with information should call Derby Police or Crime Stoppers 788-TIPS. A new report says sexual offenses reported last year on the Kansas University campus have increased by 10 from the previous year. Yesterday, the school placed Kappa Sigma on interim suspension, that's a fraternity, after reports of sexual assault during a fraternity party over the weekend. 44 years ago today, one of 2 planes carrying the Wichita State football team to a game in Utah crashed in Colorado. 31 people were killed, including 14 players. Well, today at Wichita State, the victims were honored in what has become an annual tradition. School President John Bardo says the loss of so many people will always be tough to take.
And so it's important that we continue this and that far into the future, even when the survivors are gone.
14 Wichita State staff and boosters and 3 crew members also died. 8 players and 1 pilot survived.